Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the chat conference. My name is Nikki Barnes, and this session is Sunderland Foundation Innovation Lab. We will not be having a live questions and answer session after this particular session, but you're welcome to still go ahead and enter your questions on the YouTube chat box, and Jabel will receive your questions and take care of them afterwards. This session is being recorded and it will be available on the ESU Check 2020 website after the presentation. Now I'd like to introduce our presenter from K-State, Jabel Rohn. Take it away, Jabel.
Good morning. I seem to be having some issues with my computer. It just froze here. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm excited to share with you a bit here. And if I have to maybe close out, I don't know, I can't do anything but look at my PowerPoint presentation screen right now. I just wonder if I'm able to stop sharing my screen some way, or I'm pressing stop share in show. If I'm able to maybe rejoin, that will fix it, or I'm not sure. I'm kind of stuck on my PowerPoint. It says Ideate High-Tech Makerspace. Are you guys seeing that?
Right now, I'm seeing only your video.
Only my video? Okay. Okay, so I wonder what that is. Okay, let's see. Give me a quick second here.
We apologize, we're having technical difficulties. We will resume as soon as possible. Thank you for your patience.
Okay. All right. Are you able to hear me now and see me?
I can hear you and see you. Yes. You want to try your PowerPoint?
Okay, testing. Let's see.
Are you able to hear me, Jabel?
Yes.
Okay, I can hear you and I can see you.
Okay, and I'm able to see my screen as well. For whatever reason, when I was in my PowerPoint and I guess I was sharing my screen, it completely froze my Mac here and I wasn't able to do anything. So I went ahead and restarted because that was my last resort. And that was the only thing I could figure to do is to restart and start again. So.
Okay, I think that was a good idea because we were frozen just on you and your screen never did show up.
Okay. All right. Well, without further ado, I guess I'll go ahead and get started. And or should I wait a few seconds here?
I think you're fine to continue on if you want to try.
Okay. All right, sounds good. All right. Well, had a few technical difficulties this morning, but we're moving forward. I want to welcome you all, and I want to say thank you to Check 2020. I want to thank Emporia State for having me here via by way of Zoom from Kansas State University. I'm excited to share just a bit with you on the Sutherland Foundation Innovation Lab, and what we've been working on over the past few years. This project started early in 2018. It was a project that was an initiative by the library, and it was taken on by the library and our information technology services group. And with that being said, it was an opportunity to allow an opportunity for innovation. And a lot of times when we talk about innovation, people think, cutting edge. They immediately think of Back to the Future, or they think something new, or they think something, incredible. But innovation is really just taking an idea and thinking about it in a new way. So it could be something as simple as a musical instrument, and maybe using a technology that didn't exist to enhance that musical instrument. I say musical instrument because I'm a musician as well. And so today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what we've been doing in the Sutherland Innovation Foundation. And I'm going to share my screen here and share my PowerPoint so you guys can kind of see. If we start, there we go. All right, so there we go. Again, I'm going to talk about the Sutherland Foundation Innovation Lab, use cases, and some of the ways that we've been using it throughout campus. A lot of times before I do this spiel, I always ask people the question, if you had an opportunity to do something, you think about maybe your greatest mistakes, or just that one opportunity to do something better, or maybe that presentation where your screen completely froze up and you want to do it again. What if you had an opportunity to redo that and to perfect it? Well, that's the beauty of virtual learning and the innovation side of learning. And this is a really cool part about how we can use innovation in higher education. So I want to talk to you today about a few things. But before I do that, I want to share something simple with you. There is this cone of learning. And in higher education, in pedagogy, we talk about this cone of learning. It's called the Edgar-Dale's cone of learning. And it's this: we remember about 10% of what we read. All right, so you're going to remember about 10% of what you read and what you read today. You're going to remember about 20% of what you hear. So based on what I'm saying today, you're going to remember about 20% of the words that I spoke today. This will probably be one of those words that you remember. you're going to remember about 30% of what you both hear and you'll remember about 30% of what you see. Okay, so 10% of what you read, 20% of what you hear, and then 30% of what you see. Then you'll remember about 50% of what you both hear and see. So it significantly rises based on what you visually see and what you hear. So it goes to about 50%. That's pretty significant. Now, here's the game changer. You remember about 70% of what you say. So not only do you retain your operative functioning for remembering things by saying things, but it goes up significantly from 10% just to reading to saying it to 70%. And that's astounding for learning in higher education. So, something like giving a talk, which what I'm doing now, I'm going to remember this presentation and what I'm saying for quite some time because I'm saying it. But here's the astounding fact about Edgar Dell's kind of learning that completely baffles most people. You remember about 90% of what you say and do. And so what does that mean? That means if you can say something and if you can actually put your hands to do that thing, there's a 90% retention rate. And what does that mean? That means that you're provided an opportunity to retain 90% of the information that you're taking in if you're both saying and doing or interacting with that particular piece. Now, earlier I asked you if you could redo anything that any mistake or any big meeting or any opportunity, if you could go back and you could redo that thing, what would it be and would you do it? And normally I'm in a room and I take a survey or census by a show of hands and ask if you had the opportunity to redo or to try again at simulating an experience, would you do it? And most people would raise their hand and say yes. And if you had an opportunity to simulate that experience, to perfect that opportunity before you even went to do that opportunity or went forth to do that opportunity, would you take it? And most people say yes. Well, this is the benefit. This is the pedagogical benefit of virtual reality, of mixed reality, of bringing what students would say or faculty would say is innovation to your campus. And so this was kind of the thrust of all of this presentation today. It's all about pushing forward in innovation. And so as immersive as an experience as we're having now, and you can say you're definitely having an immersive experience with this quarantine, because I guarantee you will never forget where you were during this pandemic and during the lockdown and during the quarantine and during the COVID-19 pandemic. And it's because you're in an immersive experience. You can remember the sounds, you can remember the smells, you can remember the day, you can remember the hour, you can remember what the days look like. It's because you're immersed in that particular environment. And how can we use this in pedagogy? Well, we can use this to train workers, skilled workers. We can show them what to do in emergency case situations. Not only that, we can use 3D printing to develop new patents and new ideas. And not only that, we can use mixed reality to actually walk through environments and test environments that may seem dangerous in all other scenarios, but if we're able to do it virtually, we can make mistakes and we get another try, we get another attempt. But it also puts you in that sensory where you're actually seeing and doing it. And so you're retaining information, therefore your quality and your ability, your proficiency goes up. Your ability to improve and to perform that work goes up and increases. And so what this does is it enhances our students, it enhances our faculty, and it also enhances our staff. So quickly, I'm going to share a few links. So we were charged to build a one-floor innovation lab. And this was in 2018. However, I'm going to share a story here, and I hope you guys can see this. Let's see. Are you guys able to see this website? I just want to make sure. You can give me a thumbs up or a yes or a reaction if you're able to see that website. Well, if you're not, I'll just briefly share that we experienced a fire in 2018 that that somewhat derailed our plans. And so we were displaced out of the library, which was our central place. I was over the Media Development Center at the time. And during that time, we had a lot of time to research and to talk to faculty and to talk to staff and to really dig into what is innovation and what does that mean to Kansas State University. And so one thing that we did do is we went and we talked to faculty, we talked to staff, we talked to students, and we set them at the table. We surveyed, we met with our academic service librarians, we met with deans, and we met with colleges and departments to find out what does innovation mean to them and what would they like to see brought to their campus. And so in doing that, we've done a few things, and I'll share some of those things towards the end here. Keep moving forward. So with all of the information that we collected, we found that there were a few things that faculty, staff, and students were looking for. And here are some of the things that we found. They were looking for innovation lab specialty areas. So I'll talk about some of the specialty areas that we'll offer. We'll offer a cave, or it's called the Cave. It's a immersive experience. We'll talk about the digital media lab. I'll talk about our Liquid Galaxy display. I'll talk about our high-tech maker space, our one-button studio, and I'll also talk about our video production studio, as well as VR, AR, mixed reality, and augmented reality lab. It's a mouthful. So the Cave is a automated virtual environment. And so you can kind of see that this is one, it not only displays for the user, but it also displays for those who are around the user so they can experience it with that user. And so this is a really complete immersive experience for that user. So what is a cave? A cave is a place where viewers can have an immersive experience, viewing and interacting with 3D virtual reality worlds. What makes a cave? Well, number one, you need a VR head mount display, a motion capture sensor, but not only that, you need a CPU, some type of system, and oftentimes there are controllers that interact with these virtual environments. When to use a cave? So you could use a cave to present a scene in a 360 environment for a project or an assignment, or to create an interactive VR interface for a project. You can also use these to work on a design and engineering problems in a virtual space. And so what do you mean you can engineer problems in a virtual space? So I have an architecture student. And one thing she told me is, she said, you know, I always develop my concepts and I can draw them and I can even see them on a 2D plane in 3D. She said, but it's not the same as actually walking through the building. And so what a cave would do would allow her, and she said, it'll allow her to see flaws in the architecture. And so she could go in and actually, you know, redevelop and, you know, reorganize and kind of revamp her ideas from an immersive experience, actually being in that environment before the structure is actually built, which is really nice. Also, we'll have a digital media lab. The digital media lab is once known as the Media Development Center, is your one-stop shop for all things media related. This is where a student would go to make their videos. You would find something like the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite, sound recording software, video editing software, high resolution monitors, graphic design. It's a space, basically it's your one-stop shop for all things media related. You can produce 3D models there, create digital animations, create original digital content, and convert old media to digital media. And this is a great opportunity for students as well. I want to talk about a partnership that we developed with Google through Liquid Galaxy Display. I was in a meeting with a guy from Google. Actually, they call him the father of Google Maps. And we sat down and we talked for a while. And I said, hey, if there were any new technology that you could bring to a university, what would it be? And he shared with me, he said, you know, over at Google, there was this startup company called Liquid Galaxy. And this was years ago. And he said, you know, you should really check them out. And the cool thing about Liquid Galaxy is they're an immersive panoramic display that allows you to display your data visual. It basically creates data visualizations and can be experienced by groups of people at a time. Well, and it's incredibly interactive. So you can integrate it with ArcGIS. So let's say you want to show the aquifer here in Kansas, which is where we are. And you want to be able to map it and show a visual map, topographical map, and you want to be able to show it in 3D, you would be able to do that using a Liquid Galaxy display. And not only that, you can interact with it, which means that you can remotely control and rotate and go into that environment and experience it from a 3D perspective. So in most cases, it's pretty challenging to display a topographical area on a small computer space, right? But if you have a completely immersive environment, you can actually take that person into that environment. Another way we're going to use this is we talk with our German professors. We talk with our modern languages professors, and they're looking forward to taking virtual trips throughout different countries and experiencing walking through the streets of Germany and experiencing the sounds. This has integratable sounds, and it's just a really cool feature. It's a 7-panel display with a touchscreen and 3D joystick. When would you want to use something like this? Well, again, if you're mapping, you know, maybe the longest river in the world, the most important monuments in the world, you know, you want to take people to see in comparison, you know, how large those things are. It could kind of give you a good perspective. You know, if you're showcasing, visualize faculty data and data projects, this is a great opportunity for you. If you're showcasing campus labs that might not be accessible due to health and safety reasons, you know, especially it being a pandemic even now, creating interactive museum exhibits. So this is something that has a lot of functionality to it, and we're looking forward to using here on campus. We also have a high-tech makerspace, which will consist of 3D printing lab. Will host over 14 SLA printers, which are Cartesian printers. They print PLA. They are really nice printers. They use a PLA material, which is a biodegradable plastic. I'm showing a graphic here of a patent that I been working on for my saxophone. Many years ago, I lived in an apartment and I had a saxophone that was really loud, and I was like, is there a way for me to mute this thing? And so I measured the inside of my bell and kind of thought about ways to, you know, basically put a sock in it. That's what they used in the olden days, and created this custom sax mute. And so I drew this in 3D here, and from there we took it into MakerBot and we sliced it into 2D slices. From there, we did a test print and we developed a prototype. And so this is the first kind of saxophone mute, if you will, that you see there. You also see a sax mouthpiece. And so there are different ways that you can use 3D printing. That's just one. But it's a venue. A high-tech makerspace is a venue for students to construct a variety of real-world products at the collegiate level using science and technology standards. And what makes a high-tech makerspace? 3D printers. We have laser cutters, Glowforce laser cutters that we've used. Tools for students to use their crafts and things like that. Not only that, here's actually out in my garage right now. This is happening. This is a 60-second time lapse of us creating face shields for healthcare workers. And so we're creating face shields for healthcare workers to provide to all over the nation. And so at this time, we're developing. Right now, we're trying to reach 175 masks. I can say within the past week, we've printed over 30, and we're continuing to move forward. And these are real world scenarios as to how an innovation lab works outside of its space. And especially with it being a pandemic. So my whole family, we were featured in K-State Today, and we're building masks. We're helping to create and to reach out into the world. Even though we may be quarantined, we're all working together. And so this has been a great experience, even though we're quarantined, to be able to use the resources that we have in our own home and develop 3D face shields for healthcare workers and those who need them. And so it's been a great experience using this Ultimaker S5, which is a Cartesian PLA printer. And basically what that means is it prints linear, and it's a layer upon layer process. And right next to that, you'll see the Glowforge, and that's a laser cutter there. So, all right, let's see. So a high-tech makerspace continued. When to use a high-tech makerspace? Number one, when you're in a pandemic and when people really need it. I mean, there's no better time than now to be developing and to be creating things for faculty, for staff, for students. This is a great opportunity to showcase your colleges, to really be a hand to the community and to help. But another way you can do it is you can print ventilators. You can print things that are online even now. Chemistry faculty can print prototypes of molecules, which we've done. You can do workshops about rapid prototyping and 3D printing and 3D design with Arduino and textiles. You can also have from the College of Education, Pompeii using a 3D design program to recreate the buildings and artifacts on a 3D printer. We've also printed out electromagnetic coils, which is almost a hollow cylinder looking type of object. And we wrapped it in a conductive copper material, and we sent lab rats through that particular electromagnetic coil. And it sounds like something from Iron Man. It actually kind of looks like the core reactor. And when we wrapped it in conductive material and heated that up, the rat, or the specimen that we were using, had cancer. And we placed small nanomites. Well, I didn't. This professor did. He placed small nanomites inside the cancer cell, and when they heated up the electromagnetic coil, it would pass through and it would eradicate the cancer. Now, that's just one way, real use cases of how it's been used already. We've also used it, on a lighter note, to with the Bakery Institute, to create custom cookie cutter molds. A theater project, and they've used it to create projects, to create props, and to create elaborate chandeliers throughout a set design. So it's a lot of different ways that it can be used. We also have a one-button studio. This is for the users who may not want a full-out production, but they want to use, maybe they want a studio space, a quiet space that they can use, or maybe conduct an interview, or maybe do a small, voiceover or recording, or maybe an instrument student wants to come in and record one of their solos, and they can do that in this space, which is kind of away from other rooms, and they can record specifically with one press of a button, and it records directly to their cloud space. And so that's a really neat feature that we have there. When to use a one-button studio? Again, it's if you're maybe doing a dissertation, or if you're creating a thesis or a rehearsal or class presentation, or doing a TED Talk. Student video assignments, easy to record videos that offer the ability to capture lectures, or for a flipped classroom. You can also record. It's used to record for a presentation for a class. And believe it or not, this also allows you to practice for interviewing, or to act out a scene from Shakespeare. So it's a really neat opportunity. We'll also have a production studio. So this is for the next level in creating your productions. And this will be a complete green room, which will allow you to produce and experiment with emerging video technologies and learn best practices for education and technology. What makes a video production studio? Number one, green wall, a camcorder, audio recording equipment, recorders. When to use a video production studio. Number one is to create educational content. Promotional marketing can use this. Help student groups to record and market their messages. You can use it for storytelling, which is a great way to compel and to share with people information and that they might retain it. And lastly, I want to talk about VR, virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, and artificial intelligence. That is a mouthful there. But we're talking about this idea, or this, we're ideate, which means to think about or to gather an opinion and to really understand what it means to use these particular tools here when we talk about innovation. And what is VR? What is AR? What is mixed reality? And what is AI? A lab with tools, number one, a mixed reality lab is a lab with tools to build virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual models, and to educate the community on the ethical technologies and social consequences of artificial intelligence. What makes virtual and augmented reality, mixed reality, and artificial intelligence lab? Simple things such as like Siri. Siri is like artificial intelligence. Your Google Home, your Echo, Alexa, your workstations for VR. You can use it for 3D rendering and AI computation. Your graphics cards, which are optimized for artificial intelligence operations such as attention mathematics, which uses kind of a matrix system. So that's one way of approaching it. Campus and community partners. Lastly, we look at campus and community partners and ways that we can partner. Like, what campus departments have we been in contact with about the Innovation Lab Committee? What community groups have we been informed by the Innovation Lab Committee? Who are other possible campus partners? We ask those questions. Who are possible local and national businesses that we could partner with? These are questions that we've asked and that we've sought after and that we're continuing to seek. This has been a 3-year endeavor, and I can say that we've really sunk our teeth into this concept. We want high-level technical, the lab logistics are this. We want high-level technical support is needed. We know that. Equipment vendors, staff experts, student experts, training methods, scheduled sessions, pop-up sessions, requested sessions, our policies and procedures, use policy, schedules of charges, and our hours have yet to be determined. And so we're working on programming, we're working on staffing even now. And here's some of my information here. And, you know, I talked a little bit about questions, and so I believe you guys can email me, ron@ksu.edu, and here at Check as well. You know, some more things about just about innovation in and of itself. Throughout this journey, I've learned a lot. I'll say it's really challenged me, number one, to dig deeper and to ask more questions. We've traveled to the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, to their innovation campus and to explore some of the ways that they've used their makerspace. We've talked to University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill to talk about how they've used their 3D printing lab and what necessary things are there. We've also taken in a lot of constructive criticism just to get a better understanding of how to make it work for our campus. And especially during the time of a pandemic, we've really set a goal to not only be a place where students can meet, but be a place where students can virtually meet, to allow remote support, to allow remote interaction, to think about, you know, perhaps coming to work is not being in the physical space, but maybe it's putting on a visor and meeting in a virtual space. And so, especially with, you know, all the things going on now with COVID-19, I think it's important to consider these things. And so this is an opportunity for us even now to be innovative. And so we're still at that point. I've shared a lot of information here with you all. And so I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and let's see. That, and
Jabel, that was a ton of information in a very short time, and it was a bunch of great information. I'm sure there will be lots of questions for you, and we will make sure that you receive them.
Thanks so much. I'm looking forward to those questions. Again, I'm a little under the weather today. I actually have strep throat, and so, but I didn't want to back out today. But I'm so excited to present at CHEC 2020, and looking forward to those questions. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach me at ron@ksu.edu. And I want to thank you again, Nikki Barnes, and my tech guy, Sam, for all the help today. And if you all have any questions, feel free to email me or contact me with any information.
Thank you so much, Jabel. You've been a real trooper.
Thanks so much.
And through the technical difficulties that we had earlier. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
This concludes our session, and thank you to all the attendees as well. Have a great day and a great conference.